What is going on, Ravens flock? Welcome back to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast. Joining me today, as always, is Voss and returning guest Garnett. First off, before we get into some of the content we're going over today, Voss, let's get a quick vibe check. How we doing? How we feeling?
We're feeling great, brother. We're feeling great. We named this the Ravens Way. What was that, about 3 years ago now, something like that? Because honestly, because we didn't like the way some of the way they were doing some things, and perhaps the impetus for that has been relieved of his duties in John Harbaugh. Long time coming, 18-year head coach, did some good things early on in his tenure, did some mediocre things the middle part of his tenure, did some underachieving things the later part of his tenure, and definitely want to salute Steve Bisciotti for making that hard decision to get rid of a longtime head coach. And now we got a new man in charge, Jesse Minter, and I am extremely impressed by the staff that he's putting together so far.
Absolutely. Garnett?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Boz. Like you said, I'm not trying to make fun of anything. If anybody's going through these ailing time with parents or grandparents or great grandparents or whatever, but it's like one of those things where I look at the situation as, we was waiting for the time to come for the passing, and then it never came. So it's all right, man. Well, eventually it's gonna happen, right? And then it finally happened. I'm like, oh well, about time, But like you said, I think, thank John for all what he's done. It's cool seeing, a guy come in with a drill instructor mind frame at first, and then just see him evolve into a better coach. Became a player's coach, and like you said, it's cool, but after eventually it was just time, man. Just a lot of crucial errors that were made upon, by him. And then just not firing coordinators at the right time, and you could say wasting prime year, key prime years of Lamar. So yeah, like you said, it was better. I'm glad it's over. It's time to move on and be better.
Definitely. If we have any other save rounds about the passing of John Harbaugh to the Giants,
I think the staff that he's putting together there, and his talking points. He wants people that love football. He wants people that work hard, and that he wants say over personnel, and that he brings in an offensive coordinator like Matt Nagy. He's the John Harbaugh we always thought he was. Honestly, I think a lot of the critiques we made against him and how he was negatively impacting the organization have been brought to light since he went to the Giants. So we'll see how it comes out. He wants to raise the floor, and he's always concentrated on raising the floor. And the Ravens organization didn't necessarily need that. They already have Ozzie Newsome and Eric DeCosta and a lot of the institutional tenets that they've had so many years that already raise the floor. So he's probably going to do well for the Giants, get them into the mix. But now the Ravens have a staff of hungry coaches that haven't won a Super Bowl that aren't sitting there pointing back saying, look what I did 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Let's go do something now. Let's go help Lamar Jackson fulfill his draft night promise of bringing another Super Bowl to Baltimore. And I'm really excited. I think they're off to a great start. This is the most excited I've been for an offseason in a long time.
Yeah, just to be right there on that part, I think, with the Giants, I'm really curious to see how that goes. I think I think it's almost like I think we all can be on the same page. It's like when we heard that Greg Roman was going to the Chargers, we already had a strong indication of what potentially is going to happen. And I think the same way when it comes to the Giants, where it's just the staff that he's trying to bring or he brought. I think you'll see a flash, and then I think I just believe it's going to go stale. Like there's too much. I think they're putting too much into John Harbaugh and not actually understanding, who he actually is and what foundation. Like what you said, Voss, like the Ravens always had a foundation he came here and tried to make his own and realized, let me just, not do that. And then, so on and so forth with Lamar, obviously we can say it saved his job. But for him, this is a huge legacy move to me. Like, if he can do what I don't think he can do with the Giants, what I think can be done with the Giants, and he gets them at least into an NFC, championship game in 2 years, hey man, you deserve the Hall of Fame. But if he spirals out like a Pete Carroll type ordeal, man, I think he's gonna be a second ballot, from there or something around there.
Yeah, I don't think he's guaranteed to be in the Hall of Fame at all right now. His resume is exactly the same, pretty much, as Bill Cowher and Marty Mornhinweg. Not Marty Mornhinweg. Who am I talking about? Mike McCarthy, the Steelers head coach.
Right. Yeah. But here's my thing, boss. This is the only reason why I say he's shoe-in a way. Everybody loves the Harbaugh family. You know what I mean? There's
a risk for him, right? Because he's going up there, and if it doesn't work out, and all of a sudden, putting a team full of tryhards together without all the things that the Ravens, independent of him, Steve Bisciotti, Eric DeCosta, have done to prop up and boost the talent level, it might. But anyway, I'm not so concerned with that. I'm happy that he's gone. It was time. I didn't really sour on him completely until this season, where it just seemed like he wanted to do things his way to such an extent that he was so concerned about his own legacy that he put that above the good of the team by some of his coaching decisions and personnel decisions, and showing loyalty to the people that he thought were going to make him look better. And that's obviously last time we did this podcast, Yuri, it was the three of us, and who else we had? Alec and Dan on, right? And all five, and that was in what, October? I think that was like the middle of October we did that pod, and we were all kind of saying he's got to make a move. They didn't even make the playoffs this year, and the most important thing I liked was that Bisciotti said was when somebody asked him if he made the kick, if John would have still had a job, and he said for another year. And to me, that was a turning point, because for so many years we'd heard Harbaugh say, "Well, we did good in the regular season. Don't worry about the postseason." And to hear that wasn't good enough for Bisciotti, that was really huge to hear that come out of his mouth.
Right. He said for another week.
Yeah, for another week. No. I'm sorry. That's what I mean. It's all about the playoffs, because Harbaugh just didn't want the playoffs to count anymore. He's like, "Don't worry about the playoffs. Look at my regular season." But that wasn't good enough for Bisciotti, wasn't good enough for the fans, and here we are.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing I'll say on is, echoing you guys, it was time. It was time to move on. They needed a fresh breath of air, and all the issues they had. I mean, the fine throughout the season because they were trying to play games with Lamar on the injury report, and having Peebles and Tez Walker ride the bench, and when they play, it's like, oh man, Peebles is he's one of the top interior defensive linemen in rush rate, and Tez Walker, every time he captures the football, hey, our offense was stale for 5 weeks. Why is he riding the bench throughout those 5 weeks? They're just echoing your point. There was just a lot of bad decisions made this year, and truly, it came to a head of irony that the special teams coach, who probably hand selected the rookie kicker, it didn't cost him his job, but it was the breaking point of everyone's okay, this is enough.
Ironic. So anyway, let's move forward now. Off the bat, Jesse Minter. He wasn't my top choice, but he was in my top 3. And I think having a defensive play caller that has been able to elevate the Chargers were top 6. He follows the Mike Macdonald mold. I would have preferred somebody on the offensive side of the ball. I like Kubiak a lot. Then I hear that Kubiak bought his teammates Bibles for Christmas gifts. Sounds like that might have been a little bit more of the same, similar to Harbaugh. So even more, I'm excited about Jesse Minter. But thoughts on Minter, and then we'll go on each side of the ball if you guys like.
Yeah, for me, I like you said, it's we messed up. We let McDaniel. I mean, not McDaniel. God, delete. That's what I wanted, but Mike Macdonald, walk out the door. So we're like, let's not make the same mistake twice, and let's get hopefully a 2.0 version of them, which I'm not mad at, man. I really, like I said, I wanted Mike McDaniel for multiple different reasons, obviously, but just have an offensive minded guy where you don't have to worry about losing the OC. You have the OC. He is the foundational piece to everything. But and then like for life after Lamar, I think it would be a lot easier to transition because you already have an idea of what the philosophy will be. Without transition another OC. But anyway, for Jesse Minter, I feel comfortable. I feel like he brings a comfort level and for players to understand the why they're doing it. I think that's a big thing for me. And he's not, it seems like he's very relatable, listening to I hate that. I just keep it real, real. I hate the corny, talk from certain players like, he's a good, he's the guy, whatever, but there's certain players that you listen to, like, a Derwin James that says, he's a solid fucking dude, man. You know what I mean? I take that over the whole corner. Oh yeah, he knows ball. Yeah, sure. But he knows ball, and all that stuff. A guy that's going to keep it real with it, and just a little close to him, having small little iterations with him. You can tell it's not that I'm trying to force a conversation that feels corny. You know how it is. That's like me sitting in your car that you obviously want to play, rap music to make me feel comfortable. And I don't even want to listen to rap music. You know what I mean? But I think Jesse is seeing like real good. He's a solid one. He's a solid dude. So I want to see how it goes.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I wanted an offensive-minded head coach, just for the sake of not having so much turnover there. Especially that historically we haven't been some great offensive team until Lamar. But I am excited to go back to being a quarters-heavy approach on defense, more nickel, more dime, less big base packages. I think that's really the goal. Like, Chargers were top 5 in quarters rate last year. I almost think they were number 1, but I don't want to misquote myself. I just know that quarters is what we ran in 2023 that was so effective, and one of the biggest reasons why Mike Macdonald and that defense had success was the fact that they could match in quarters. And it's exciting to have somebody that isn't gonna play off coverage the entire time and let guys just run out routes and run to the sideline like Zach Orr did. And that was just such a frustrating 2 years really experience with him a defensive coordinator. So I understand from an organizational standpoint why they went with Minter, just because it was pissed. The defense was pissed, and situationally it wasn't great. And the list goes on and on. Guys dropping. Not guys dropping the coverage. Just the guy's skill set's not being utilized to the fullest extent, and being put in bad position. I think there was a lot of that on our defense last year. So Minter's certainly an exciting twist, and kind of back to our roots that we had.
Absolutely agree there. Minter was able to do more with less, and that's kind of the issue that we had, I think, with Harbaugh, was you needed the perfect combination of playmakers at almost every position, great, all-pro, Pro Bowl types. Plus, you also had to nail the coaching staff because he didn't have expertise on one side of the ball, and that was always going to be, only last a short period of time. I heard Brian Billick on Radio Row, I think it was yesterday, one of the local guys, they were asking him, and he basically thought that the players didn't believe in Harbaugh anymore after all the blown leads and all the disappointments, and I think that was true. But what I really like about Minter is that he, like I said, he could do more with less. The third guy I kind of liked was Chris Shula from the Rams, who didn't get a head coaching job this cycle, and his defense kind of faded in the playoffs a little bit. But they had 1 first-round pick, and they were like the cheapest defense in the entire league, and they were still, doing well. I think that's what Minter's going to be able to bring to the table. He got, 8 sacks out of Odafe Owe in a half a season after the Ravens couldn't get any. And that was the problem with Orr, is he wanted to stop the run and don't get beat over top your head. And other than that, it was easy pickings. But let's go to the offensive side of the ball now. Declan Doyle is a guy that was also among my top, and I'm with G 100%. I really like Mike McDaniel. He went to the Chargers. I like Joe Brady. He got the Buffalo Bills head coaching job. Doyle's right up there. What I like about the Bears offense, if he brings the Bears offense, he's from the Sean Payton tree. There's a couple different branches. They all do it a little bit different. But if he takes the Ben Johnson track, they were 52% 11 personnel last year. The Ravens were less than 30% 11 personnel. Spread them out. Don't make it so predictable. Don't allow the defense to stack the box so much. So I think Doyle, while he's a risk, he never called plays before. When you pair him with Ledford, the offensive line coach, and then Lombardi, who they brought in to be sort of like a mentor who has called plays for a long time, I think the offense, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We're still going to see who they get a wide receivers coach. I think the loss of Greg Lewis was legitimate loss. But I like the makings of the staff, and I like that Minter is not just hiring his buddies and a bunch of retreads. He's hiring a bunch of young guys, hungry guys that want to climb up the coaching ladder. And I'm impressed with what he's putting together so far, at least on offense, on defense especially, but on offense too.
Yep, Garnett.
Yeah, so one thing that you really hit on, and I think you hit on it perfectly. I just have a general question for you guys. What type of corners do we have? Do we have off-man corners, or do we have, press man-to-man corners, right?
Honestly, it's a mix of.
Well, we only have one corner right now, really. Nate's a press corner.
We'll get to that part, but in the previous year, we had corners that can play, good majority. They can play bump and run for the most part, right? Well, two starting ones, right? And the issue that it's like, I feel like, in Zach Gore, he came up in the Dean Pease era when he played. You can literally see that type of play from our secondary, which it costs us a lot. Third downs, playing the sticks or playing 6 to 7 yards off, and you already know that, the stick route, or I wouldn't say a stick route, but basically a stick concept is gonna hit us. And I'll be damn, it hit us every time. So that's why I can't wait to see Jesse Minter, to see what he can do with the secondary and then just put people in the best position, like you said, man. That was my biggest gripe. Even before, I would say, even before we, had Zach, it was the same situation with Wink. And so it's like, I feel like it was more of not just a coaching thing, but almost like a culture thing. Coming under, John, but
conservative. John was conservative in every single way possible.
Every way. So I think that was a huge positive, just to go back to that point about just about when it comes to mentor or whatever. But yeah, that's how I somewhat
offensive staff. G,
offensive staff. Yeah, I think it's good hiring. I'm really happy about the offensive line coaching. I can't wait to see what Ledford can do for us. And I'm really hoping. I'm so glad that they put the staff together so fast. As much as I wanted to see how they wanted to wait out, and a lot of people wanted Kubiak or whatever, but how I look at it, like our boy Yuri, the famous scout over here, going to to the Senior Bowl and all that. You got to have a staff ready in order to to get them out there and start scouting, right? So if you don't have your coaching staff done by a certain time frame, it's going to come back to you. So I'm obviously I think Ledford already has an idea. You're not just going to not know what you're going to be doing, or who to be looking for just because you get you're relieved of your duties going to another team. But I'm really curious about how the offensive line is going to look, man. I feel like it's going to be a whole lot better. I know a lot of issues, or a lot of people point the finger at Lamar or point the finger at Derrick Henry for just not having a super productive year. I didn't know having 1,500 yards was not productive. I didn't know that, but either or. But I'm just saying, like that the problem with the offensive line to me will be hopefully fixed. So I'm really happy about the staff or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for more wide zone scheme plays. Just Ledford coming from Atlanta, they ran a ton of wide zone, and Another thing that is not talked about is Jake Matthews made a lot of strides under Ledford, their left tackle. Lindstrom, their right guard. Like, they had a lot of guys, and they also had Matthew Bergeron out of, I think, Oregon, at right tackle for them as well last year.
But McGarry was hurt, right?
Yeah,
McGarry?
Yeah. McGarry was hurt. So they had all their guys were really highly graded in terms of run blocking, and that was something we struggled with this year. And obviously the pass blocking is kind of more of an independent player type of statistic, but run blocking as a unit can work, and he's done a great job at it. And obviously you saw the Bears rushing attack last year where they had DeAndre Swift looking really good. They had Manungai, their backup running back, looking really good and being able to hit holes, and even Caleb Williams got involved in the run game. So I'm just excited. I'm excited for wide zone play action and shots downfield, because that's really what their offense was.
Yeah, I agree with that. You can run out of 11. Actually, the Ravens were more efficient running out of 11 last year than they were 12 or 22 or 21, believe it or not. That's, I think, the next step in Lamar Jackson's evolution. They pigeonholed him into a read option quarterback early on. Maybe that was for the best. I don't know. Then they started opening it up, but Harbaugh, at least I think Harbaugh's influence, wanted a fullback on the field and heavy sets and ultra jumbo offensive tight formations. I don't think that's in Lamar's best interest necessarily. They also brought in Israel Woolfolk as the quarterback coach yesterday, and Eddie Faulkner as a running back coach. They're from the Faulkner's from the Steelers. Woolfolk was with the Cardinals. Cardinals were the most pass-heavy team in the league last year. Jacoby Brissett had a career year. As Yuri, I saw Yuri pointed that out online. So, yeah, they still need a tight end coach, wide receivers coach. I think I would like maybe somebody with a little bit more passing game experience or creativity to add to the mix on the offensive side. But I think, Lamar Jackson's such a dynamic player. He elevates everything. And you can get away from the read option attack so much, and Lamar can still be a dynamic playmaker with his improvisational skills, make a couple guys miss in the backfield and hit somebody downfield. So I want to get back to that. Like, when Monken was hired, he said he wanted to threaten every blade of grass. They got away from that a little bit last year, I thought, and it became a little bit predictable. And that's why, Derrick Henry's efficiency dropped a little bit. I think he's getting a little bit older too, which probably plays into it. But, Ledford apparently is one of the best offensive line coaches around. They were hearing whispers of him before Harbaugh was even hired. We knew George Warhop was on the chopping block. So, I think they're putting their best foot forward. And offense still has probably some pieces to add. Let's go back one more time on the offense if you guys want, and then we'll flip to defense.
Got it.
Yeah, for the offense, man, I'm really curious to see what the direction. Like, I think I floated it out to on Twitter, you guys, or just in the group chats, or whatever. Like, like the 11 personnel, which you talked about, Voss. I really want to. I think me and you've been on the same page. We always on the same page, so that's
no doubt.
But when it comes to the 11 personnel, I'm really always been a big fan of that. And I'm not saying that you kill off the fullback by any means. You don't have to do that. But I feel like instead of wasting, I think maybe, I'm not going to have a hard time, but I think a lot of us as fans, we get so wrapped around the past and what we used to do and think that's the only way we can operate. I think for me, I'm not saying get rid of a fullback, but I think it would be redundant to keep a fullback and keep a third tight end that's basically, an extra lineman / fullback. And that's why I always say, like, TE3, I know we're going to talk about free agency a little down in a little bit, but I always feel like the TE3 could be like a Josh Oliver, where he's basically like that Delaney Walker type of guy where, you can play fullback, tight end, you can just be the wild card. I'm not saying, shoot, Kohler can do it. So it's something of that nature where I want to see something that be done where we're not, it's like I said, not get rid of the fullback, but I felt like it was tipping off plays when it comes to max pass protect when we have those type of personnel on the field. It was just like a dead giveaway almost. Now, if we had a more like a freakish, I would say a freakish athlete on the field, it just creates more disorientation of a defense, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think 11 personnel is the way to go, big time.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have anything else left in the offense except for just wide zone and play action.
All right, let's flip to the defensive side then. Obviously, Jesse Minter is going to call the plays. I think he's going to be a good play caller in the Mike Macdonald mold. I heard yesterday, I think, no defensive play caller head coach has ever won the Super Bowl. So we'll see what Mike Mack can do on Sunday. I thought Anthony Weaver as defense coordinator was a home run hire. He was a guy that was a finalist for the head coaching job. He's got a great relationship with the players. He understands the Ravens culture. And a lot of the guys on the defensive staff are more secondary oriented. So to have a guy that's proficient up front is great. Not only that, but he can hypothetically or potentially earn the Ravens some comp picks if he leaves to become a head coach. Other than that, they got quite a few secondary coaches, highly regarded secondary coaches. Mike Mickens from Notre Dame, who coached up Sauce Gardner a couple years ago. He's an up-and-coming coach. PJ Volker, who's going to be the safeties coach, who's been Minter's best friend coaching, throughout his coaching career. Tyler Santucci, who they retained to coach linebackers. And we just got word right before we started recording, defensive line coach Lou Esposito from Michigan. He just sounds like he's just got a good defensive line coach name. I can just hear him saying, get low, get low, get low, get low out of training camp. He just sounds like a nice Italian guy who's going to light some fire. But, I mean, this looks like one of the best defensive staffs in the league, at least especially the teams that are just putting it together in the last couple of weeks. And they still got a vacancy at outside linebackers coach and maybe cornerbacks coach. But they're off to a really good start on the defensive side.
Right. Yeah. Only time will tell, and I'm right there with you. I'm excited. You have if you think about it, you have the pieces, interior wise, with the exception of the unknown when it comes to Madubuike, but man, you have the right pieces to work with. You got I call it elite ball of clay, and let's see what the artists can do with it. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, the Michigan defensive tackle hire, not defensive lineman hire. I'm pretty excited about that. I just last night was watching Rayshon Benny out of Michigan, and watching how he used their defensive line, and those guys really pinned their ears back. There really wasn't a lot. I mean, sure, the Michigan still does the spot dropping type of stuff, but in terms of stunt games and all the guys had really good skill sets, and the way especially Michigan's run defense, it was really, really solid. And I know, we're tired of hearing that, but their pass rush was also good. And you can watch Derek Moore and see how when they have a good player at edge, they will utilize them and let them pin their ears back. So that was a really exciting hire. And then, Jesse Minter, as I mentioned earlier, getting back to quarters and more match coverage defenses, I think is the way to go. And then as well as Mickens also coached a couple other guys, including Xavier Watts, who is probably one of the, he's not the first name on Rookie of the Year, but he's certainly up there. And he had a really nice season with 4 interceptions, and you can see his imprint certainly on a lot of these players that are coming out from Notre Dame and the other places he's been at. So it's a very exciting group, and I look forward to seeing who else they add to it.
Yeah, so they currently have 4 guys that have been defensive coordinators at some point, either at the college level or pro level on the staff. And then now 1, 2, 3 guys that have been offensive coordinators. So even though it's a really young staff, they have experience in the right places. And I just want to echo, I'm really excited, impressed that Minter is willing to go outside the box to find up and coming coaches that can help this team and help these players be the best they can be. I guess we'll hit on Charlie Gelman replaced Tyler Stern as the game management coordinator, which is basically the guy that helps the coach decide like when to go on fourth down, that sort of thing. And they did retain Randy Brown as the basically the kicking coach, but they have not pinpointed or finalized the deal with the special teams coordinator. I have a feeling special teams are not going to be as prioritized as they were under the John Harbaugh regime. How could they possibly be? I don't think it's humanly possible, but potentially Anthony Levine, co-cap, could be promoted to that role. I think they're about halfway done coaching hiring because they had 25 guys on the staff last year. I think they have about 13 right now. So it's great to see that Minter has a bond with some of these guys that could have went elsewhere, decided to come to Baltimore. I think that speaks to his reputation. I think it also speaks to the Ravens' organizational reputation and Steve Bisciotti's reputation. How could you watch that press conference and not want to coach for this team after, what's the Pat McAfee's making up like rap songs about Steve Bisciotti. I don't know if you guys saw that my kids sing along to that on the way to school sometimes. It's a great place to be. And just the final thought on this is the Ravens, in my opinion, made John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh did not make the Ravens. And I think this next couple
Say it
seasons,
again.
You heard it. The Ravens made John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh did not make the Ravens. So we're going to see that play out the next couple seasons, I think.
Hey, I know this is Black History Month, so I got to say this. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. I had to. Oh, man.
The only other thing I'll add on the Ravens coaching staff is you hit on it, boss, but Anthony Weaver could certainly get some head coaching interest like he did this cycle next year or the year following. And, unfortunately it is the way it is now, but if he gets hired as head coach, those are 2 third-round comp picks. And I really am excited about his effect on the defensive line as well as the comp picks that he could hopefully provide down the line.
Absolutely. Should we transition to now a little bit of an off-season free agency preview, focusing on the Ravens depth chart and who they could bring back and who they should bring back, et cetera?
All right, shoot. You guys want to start with anybody particular? If not, we can just go straight in transcending order. What's Washington being?
Can you make it full screen and then click through it that way?
Just give me 1 second.
And I appreciate you putting this together, G.
No,
sure it wasn't.
No, Diddy. Do you want me to make it bigger?
I can see. It's big enough for me. I don't know about Yuri.
Yuri, you need it bigger?
Can you put it on present mode?
Yeah, that's fine. I can try that. Hopefully,
full disclosure, it took us 45 minutes to figure out how to get these slides to load before we went live here. So,
right,
we're dedicated to the game.
Exactly,
and we're also a little bit rusty on our PowerPoint skills.
Goddamn,
just click it. Try to click it one time in the middle. See if it's just like a header. No.
Hold on. See, it's on to the second slide right now. So that's why I don't know why it does that.
All right, just go back to where it was.
I can do. Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
It's going. It's coming. Sorry. Technical difficulties, people. Sorry. Well, what I could do, hold on. I could just move this over a little bit.
I can see it fine, but you want me to? I can.
There we go. Was that work a little bit better? All right. Yeah. So up first is Ardarius Washington. I don't know if you want me to read off this. I'll read off the stats and y'all can go from there. Obviously he came back a little late from his Achilles thing. Hard work and tenacity has been fighting back. Appreciate your service for that. But 3 tackles, 1 sack, one forced fumble, and Alfred recall he almost had a hand on an interception. I forgot what game, but it is what it is. But that's where we're at with him, right? Free agency wise, where y'all sit with him.
Thoughts? You go first.
I like Ardarius. He's worked his way up, made a lot of big plays in 24. That goal line fumble he forced on Russell Wilson was a huge play. I'd be in on, and he also has, he can play on the back end. He can play the slot as well. So I'd be in on him at about $2 million a year or a couple-year deal, something like that.
Yeah, I appreciate the story that he's given us, just going from a UDFA to making the team, and certainly was a nice piece to the 2024 defense and some of the things we did good that year. But just the injury history and kind of the way that I've seen Jesse Minter's defense in terms of how they use their safeties, I just don't think he has a place anymore on the team. And I wish him the best, because it's just, he's, like you said, Garnett, he fought through the injury, and that's not an easy thing to come back from, and especially how quick he came back from it. But I like my safeties and nickels, 6 foot and above.
Yeah, let me just say one thing I forgot to mention. There was a play, I think it was the season finale, or if not the game before, that he was in coverage in the slot, great coverage, and his arms just weren't long enough to make the pass defense. And it was a completed pass. It extended a drive. A lot of people made a lot about how the Ravens lost snap count so much last season. That was as much on the defense, if not more on the defense than the offense. So I could go either way.
Right. Like I said, he falls into the Deshaun Elliott situation where it's like he could be a really fucking good player, but the injuries just robbed him of a lot, man. Obviously you only get like a 4-year contract out of it, and I just think it's time to just let him take his talent somewhere else, man. If he wants to stay for cheap, that's cool, but like you said, I want a bigger hybrid corner. I mean, not corner, but corner too, but safety as well. I just want someone just a bigger body guy, as you can tell, for a small stature. 5'8", think about it, 5'8", 180, and you're literally, and his play style is nothing but just banging, banging and slanging
right
in the backfield or in the middle of the field. Your body's gonna give, man. I don't care who you are. You're gonna take, your body's gonna take attacks. So,
all right, you guys talk me into it. Let him go.
But yeah, man, I think so. That 3 kicks, 3 boots. Thank you for your service. You want me to move on to the next guy, guys?
Yeah.
Just do it.
Next, we have Alohi Gilman. Obviously, we understood the trade for him for Oweh. We gave the Chargers Oweh. We got him in return. He somewhat brought, some kind of stability on the back end for the 3-man rotation at safety. Stats, solo tackles, we have 49, 0 sacks, 1 forced fumble. And the one stat that, obviously we're not going to see is the return touchdown, from, Kyle Van Noy with the interception.
Yeah.
I
think it was a bad trade. I think Oweh's going to get paid this offseason, probably get the Chargers a 3rd-round comp pick. Alohi Gilman misses tackles. It's way too many tackles, and he's also not great in coverage, and I don't have any appetite to pay strong safety types more than vet minimum. If you're going to pay a safety, he's got to have split field. He's got to be good in split field coverage at minimum.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest lies we told ourselves this year was that the trade for him was a win-win. A 5th-round pick is nice, but is a 5th-round pick a year prior than you're probably going to get if you hit the open market worth completely taking away probably the last good player at edge rusher on the group at the time.
They got $10 million. They got $10 million cap space. That was what they really got out of the trade.
I agree with everything you're saying. This is what made me mad. I don't know if I sent it to you guys in the group chat or y'all paid attention to it when I made the timeline of how everything transpired. Like between here's my thing. This guy tore his Achilles in what, like May or April or May?
Yeah.
May.
You
May,
had
right after the
time.
draft.
You know, I think it was right before the draft. It was literally right before the draft, if I remember right. I made a time.
It was.
And literally, you had time to go get a safety like him in free agency. If you would have got him, a type of guy like him in free agency, and then obviously you could have still got your safety in the first or second round with Emma Warrior. That's a whole different story or whatever, how you want to talk about it. But you wouldn't put yourself in a predicament when we get to the other guy. There's another guy that ties into this, which is, it had me infuriated. And this is why I say, let me just get back on point for you guys so we can go through these players pretty quick. But a lot of this stuff ties in to bad coaching along with front office play. So that's where my point is when it comes to like a lot of this stuff. I'm happy for the coaching staff, but this is EDC, rise and shine year. If he doesn't, man, I know him and the owner is really close, but he has to be looked at if he drops the ball this year. That's just my opinion.
Agree. No, I agree.
Wait,
who's up
sorry,
next,
What
G?
you were saying, Yuri?
Yeah, I was gonna wrap up my thought real quick. I just, to me, Gilman individually without the trade, like to me, you can find him, well, either in the draft or in free agency. I would not.
UDFA.
I would not retain him.
You can find him UDFA.
Yes, just the fact that we had Chauncey Gardner, and then we go out to trade him, right? And Chauncey Gardner was balling for Chicago. I don't know, man. I'm sorry, I had to say that. Whew. All right, next person. Okoye, 6'6", Nigeria. I think he's from Nigeria, correct? Fellas?
Yeah, Nigeria. Yep.
The Nigerian
maybe.
prince himself, 6'6", 24 years old, 370. Obviously we went through a heavy package in the interior due to the lack of Madubuike and trying to give John Jenkins a little breath at 36 years old. I feel like he just a raw player. Obviously, like I said, 7 tackles, but you can tell he made a little small impact that he could be out there. I mean, he was serviceable. I would bring him back just because of the fact that I think it'll be cheap. And then on top of that, just to see what if he can grow, it'll give it. I wouldn't say he understands the system since this is a new system, but I think for a rotational piece for Travis Jones, I think that would help out a lot. But
I think they got him from the Chargers, so they're all pretty similar.
Oh.
He didn't go to college. Anyway, I won't derail the conversation any further, but because he was obviously a foreign-born player, he's a big body. He can be, defensive lineman 6 on the depth chart entering off-season. That's probably where he should be. If he makes a team, that's fine. If they only want to carry 5, that's fine too. Put him on the P squad, bring him up when you need him. I just don't want to, have 4 defense nose tackles active on game day ever again. That was just a really bad decision, I thought, by the coaching staff. But all these things you're saying against your coaching staff, the silver lining is if they made all the smart decisions, then we'd be sitting here right now looking at Zach Ord-led defense, Matt Nagy-led offense with George Warhop coaching the O-line and John Harbaugh picking, collegiate team captains that go to Bible study 3 times a day. So I'm glad some of these things didn't work out.
All right. So where you feel, Voss? You think so? Keep or stay?
Yeah, he's an exclusive rights free agent, I think. So it only costs him like $500,000. So you might as well put him on the 90-man and see how it shakes out in camp.
What about you, Yuri? Where do you feel?
I mean, like maybe for the vet men type of thing, just to see if he can beat out whoever else we bring in. I mean, the defensive line room, especially without Madubuike, is going to be the complete reshape like around Travis Jones. So maybe like a backup 0 tech like Okoye, could play that behind John Jenkins, and maybe John Jenkins gets hurt and he can step in there and just stop the run. But like a vet man, I would be against bringing him back just to see if because he has like size and length, and maybe a coach can develop him a little bit, but I'm indifferent. If we bring it back for the vet min, that's nice. If not, like, it's okay.
Right. That's how I feel about it. Like, hey, man, how I look at it, I almost treat it like, hey, you're a freak athlete, Bill, but I want to see if you're actually you got a freak athlete body, but let's see if we can see if you're actually a freak athlete. You know what I mean? So I'm right there with you. Just see where it goes. Next person, we have Brent Urban. Longtime veteran, 12 years, 34 years old. We know the long history about the guy. The favorite wire bench guy, as I call him. So 7 tackles, had a half a sack. I didn't put. I don't know how many batted balls he had, but I'm pretty sure he might have had 1 or 2 knowing him. I don't know that stat off the top of my head, but I feel like, hey, Brent, I love you. Thank you for your service. I think it's time to go home.
I think I agree with that. I want to see his roster spot taken up by a penetrating 3 tech. Most likely drafted semi in the middle rounds, if not higher. That's what I think. You see these teams that are advancing in the postseason, they have waves. It's almost like a hockey line change. And now here come our next setup of pass rushers, just beat up their offensive line. He's a floor raiser kind of guy. I want a ceiling raiser to get that roster spot.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's been a good run. Having him come in May every year and fit in the run and playing 5 tech, but I mean, the truth is that they need to get younger among the defensive line, and him being inactive on the game day roster just isn't a plus anymore. And we need more pass rush use, and I'm sure. Well, you said it perfect, Garnett. Like, hey, like, I wish you best, but it's time to move on.
Right. I'll watch you block the punt against the Browns all the time, buddy. I got you. I mean, the field goal. My bad. Next up, we got Carl Jones. 1 year out of UCLA. I know he was a middle of the season signing or
late season. I got him in like the beginning of December.
Yeah. We all know why. I'm assuming that's when after Teddy tore his ACL, they brought another linebacker for rotation. Also, what's the name was hurt too, Higgins as well.
Higgins.
Yeah, a lot of interior linebacker injuries, but I'm presuming the 3 tackles came up on special teams. So
he didn't play a snap on defense.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the easy.
I'm okay.
Yep.
He's not even that good on special teams.
Yes. Hey man, hey, Carl Jones, you're welcome for a little spotlight, buddy. We gave you what you know. There you go. And there goes that guy. Yuri, I'll let you go off, King.
Yeah, I think if we're going to go to more 11 personnel, it would be really important if that tight end that's going to slot in there at the 11 spot can be able to play in line and block, as well as be a plus catcher down the field. And I think, and obviously it's in limited spurts, and it's also the fact that John Harbaugh said, hey, add on 30 pounds of, a combination of muscle and fat so you can be a better run blocker. And it's certainly he's made leaps and strides from, where he was in college to where he is now as a run blocker, but he's still a really good receiving tight end. And I think if you can keep him at under $6 million annually, I think that's a good deal. And we need, as much as we want to run 11 personnel, you also need to have protection units that can be able to pass pro against blitzes. You just can't, you know what I mean? You can't always go out there with 11 personnel. Everyone's split out. It's just 5-on-7. Like you're going to put yourself in a box eventually. You need a pass pro as much as it is the offensive line. It's also the unit. And I think if we're going to let Ricard go, having Kolar back as a blocker is a valuable skill set, as well as what he brings in the pass game.
I'm with Yuri there. I mean, even if you're going to be up to the Bears level of 11, that's still half the snaps. The other half the snaps, you have either 2 or even 3 tight ends if you're going to go by the Ben Johnson model. Kolar is a priority re-sign for me. It would not be surprising if they bring him back that he outsnaps Mark Andrews next year. That Mark Andrews contract looked worse and worse every week that went by. It is what it is. They can get out of it after the 26th season. But Kolar, I'd be up to $7 million, $8 million almost. And I'll mention this. I put a poll out a couple weeks back now. Got about 300 votes. What will be the best use of $7.3 million? Bringing back Roquan, bringing back Draymond Jones, bringing back Awuzie, or bringing back Charlie Kolar. Draymond Jones led the poll with about 50%. Awuzie had about 20%, 25%. Kolar got about 15%, and Roquan only got about 10%. So I think he would be more valuable than Roquan if the money really gets tight.
Oh man, I'm right there. You know what's crazy? So I remember when he first was coming out of Iowa State, right? It was Iowa State, right? Am I right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And the first thing that really dawned on us is really what we realized is how good of a route runner he was for his size. And like you mentioned, like just being in our system and, this, the system that we run, and with John Harbaugh, I call it the unnatural Raven experience. We'll take a guy and then we're going to want you to be a guy that you're not used to being for good or worse, right? And for him, for good, he became a better blocker. It's almost like the Josh Oliver effect, where you just became a better all-around player. But I think like it's a lost art of what he was able to do in college. We have not seen due to not getting, the many carries. Like I said, obviously we see 10 catches for 142 yards, which is for tight end 3. I get it, but same time it was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, I'm really cool. I'm down with it. Like either or, like him or like I would not mind if we just keep one. I know we can't keep all 3. I'm just willing, like for him, I could see him, motioning out the backfield as a fullback, and then, being creative with him. There's a lot of things you can do with either or. Like you said, Voss with Mark, man, I'm still head scratching. I think it felt like it was a charitable sympathy thing we did for Mark. Not trying to be disrespectful or nothing, but I still scratching my head at this day about that. But I'm cool with Kolar saying. Up next, are we moving on to the next one?
Yep.
All right. Up next, we have Chidobe Awuzie. I feel like, to be honest with just going off, obviously he had 29 tackles. I don't have the PD pass deflections. I don't have those up here. If there were any, but I'll say from I thought he was the most reliable corner we had all year. Marlon had his, obviously it was a down year for Marlon. Wiggins had his ups and downs this year, had highs and lows, but I felt like Chidobe Awuzie was probably the most consistent, well-balanced corner we had. But where you guys are at on it?
I want to bring him back for sure. I think right now, with Marlon's future up in the air, is he going to be on the team? Is he going to move to safety? If he is on the team, you need depth at corner. The only other corner you have is Wiggins, that's really had a extended trial. CJ Tampa played a little bit. The other 2 guys they drafted last year both were on IR. So I think you need one veteran, and I can't think of too many veterans that would be better than Awuzie. They had Ronald Darby a couple years back. They had Tre'Davious White in 2024. And they all fared pretty well, but I think Awuzie did the best. He graded the best. I think he was like top 20 out of all the corners on PFF. And he is a little bit older. He does have an injury history, but I'd be willing to pay him on a short-term deal somewhere in that, $6 to $8 million range on a 1 or 2 year deal. I think he's worth it to get that stability, because you can never have enough corners, man. You don't want to get. I've seen too many seasons, especially the middle of the.
Good, Voss. I thought you were done.
The second half of the Joe Flacco era, like 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. They were short on corners and it killed them. And I just don't want to be in that position again.
Yeah, I think there's a number in my head I have for him. I think it's around like 10 mil a year or less. Just going off your point, Garnett, like he really was the most reliable corner. He wasn't getting burnt down the field. Like Wiggins and Humphrey both combined for like 1,800 yards total of one-on-one like coverages that they were responsible for letting up, and that's just one that's awful. Like Wiggins should have been way better than he was, even in like even not if he's being utilized to his fullest like potential. That is just the fact that I think the injury may have played into it just with corners. Like they're kind of like I think Eric DaCosta compared them to like NASCAR or Ferraris or like Lamborghinis or something. I know Voss knows it.
Race cars.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it was a disappointment, and maybe TJ Tampa and some of the 5th round or 6th round picks we took last year, they were both immediate, UDF or not UDFA IR puts. Maybe they make a contribution, but I think it'd be nice to keep Awuzie around. But I also have felt like that they do well with like vet corners that are getting near the age of 30. You think about like Darby. You have Awuzie, you have a couple other guys like Brandon Carr who is over 30. But they do have a history of hitting on vet corners in free agency and finding value there. So if they let him go and he cashes in for another, one more big contract, because he's certainly probably is going to get it because average corner play in the league is paid for. So.
Right. And, like this is someone goes back to our thing where we always talk about like the draft corners, the guys that we look for in just God gifted ability. When Chidobe came out, he was running 4.3 and just, you don't see him. We talked about that Yuri or whatever. Like we always joked about the Caillou Blue Kellys of the world and all those guys. But like, Chidobe is going to make a living playing this league for, obviously he's 30, but he can probably play a good 3 or 4 more years, man, just because of his athleticism that we hit on. And you made a great point about how we always do good with veteran corners, man. What I would do, I would want to bring them back, but I want to see what the other, what the market will look like, after, the season's over with, what type of cuts are made and who else will be available before I just, automatically pull the trigger, on Awuzie. Hopefully you won't take that as a slight if we do that, like, well, if y'all don't really want me, I'll go somewhere else. But hopefully he, will understand what, the feel of, the way of the room, especially with Marlon, like you said, boss. We just don't know. But yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess let him go for me. But I'll go on to the next one. Hold on, let me click over real quick. Next guy is Corey Bullitt. Obviously, whoa. Those stats are wrong. Don't look at 3 solo tackles or whatever. That's not real. Fake news. I didn't pull. Pull the stats. But just obviously 6'3", 24, 320, Maryland, homegrown from college. Great. I would say for me, he had a great, preseason run. He gave me actually. I know this is hard to believe, but yeah, he gave me, you know what? If you let Linderbaum walk, I'm cool. Like, I'm just, I know a lot of people think I got to,
You love Linderbaum. I remember talking to you about Linderbaum before the draft, before the year they even drafted him. What was that, 4 years ago now?
Yeah,
absolutely. Back when Spaces, they first started Spaces, and we used to do Spaces all the time. Remember that?
Yeah. So
I remember.
Here's my thing. All right, so here's my thing. So for me with players, like, same thing with Bateman. I'm one who started the Bateman train too. But if you notice about me, like I don't go head over heels for players. But for me, it's like once you get to a certain point and you prove, your point, I prove my point, and then you're actually doing good. Okay, cool. Now it's like if you're like a super transcendent player, like say if Linderbaum was God rest his soul, my boy that just passed away. He used to Jet Center. Oh my Lord,
Nick Mangold.
If he was like, if Linderbaum was Nick Mangold, I would be talking super, hot about him. But
He's not. He's not.
Linderbaum's good. You know what I mean? Like I would like to retain Linderbaum, but if
we're not. Hold up. Don't you have a slide for him?
What's that?
I said, don't you got a slide for Linderbaum in the slideshow?
Might as well talk about him together.
Yeah, because like this is it's almost.
Well, he's exclusive.
I don't know.
Well, Bullock's exclusive.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. No, you. I'm glad you brought that up. They go hand in hand, man. Like, so I feel like he would be I would like to see him at guard, but that's where I felt like. But then again, when I saw him snap the ball, he held his own. He looked really good at center. So that's where I'm like, you know what? If we can't get him, I know this guy can probably do it. Really well. He might not be getting to the next level like Linderbaum was in the run game, but I know he'll be able to anchor. Well, I think here's my thing. I can't get too tied up in preseason because he wasn't really going against the top notch or whatever, but I feel comfortable thinking that he can do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to save somewhere. I'll save my Linderbaum thoughts for Linderbaum, but I will say Bullock is a exclusive right free agent, if I recall, and he only costs $500,000. So even if you bring back Linderbaum, he's a good depth piece. You got to have 10 offensive line, at least 9, hopefully 10. And so, yeah, I'm bringing him back for sure. I thought he showed enough to be brought back. And I wouldn't mind him in the mix to compete for a starting spot if Linderbaum doesn't come back. And we'll say the rest of it for him.
Yeah, so with Bullock, he's kind of in the same bin with Okoye for me, where I'd like to keep him and see if we can maybe have a little bit of developmental, but like the same thing with Okoye, like, hey, I give him one year, undrafted, not $500,000 vet man.
It's not even vet man. He's not a vet yet. It's half of that. Like Linderbaum's going to get $20 million. Bullock costs $500,000. So I mean that's 1/40th of the cost. Yeah. So yeah.
So like, let me get this right, Voss, because you somewhat like I understand it, but I think a lot of people that are tuning in probably, if you haven't passed your 4-year mark, you still got that what you're talking about. I forgot the name of it, but basically
exclusive right ERFA. So if you're undrafted, it's like Keaton Mitchell, right? So you're undrafted, you have 1 year, and then the next 2 years are exclusive years. So if the Ravens press the button, you have to play for them, and it's really cheap. And then you have restricted free agent year, which is what Keaton Mitchell's coming up on, where they can slap a tag on them, but that might cost like $2-3 million, but it's really just a right of first refusal. So another team can come in and say, we think Keaton Mitchell's worth $5 million. The Ravens can decide if they want to match that or not. But these ER exclusive rights free agent guys who are still in their first 3 years of being undrafted, I mean, they're like free money. I mean, they're half the price of vet men. You might as well bring them back.
Yeah, and how I look at it with Bullock, you get a guy like him, and you already know what you're like. With the draft, it saves you a spot in the draft. That's how I somewhat view it, where you're not hamstringing yourself. I got to go in the draft and go get something. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Next,
yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Next.
Yeah.
GTFO.
Yeah. So I mean, do we even waste time?
I said what I had to say.
For the comp pick, and I hope the Giants fans are really excited about you.
The comp pick. How about GTFO? Thanks for getting us a new coaching staff.
Hey, I'll say this. Like, this guy right here is the main reason why the season went how it went. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, he wasn't even worse than Voorhees was worse, all this. And then, the whole sentiment, well, when he loses loud. If for the people that don't understand when we say lose loud, go back to week 1 when we played Buffalo and watch when Lamar gets his shit rocked. I don't think people realize that's when the first game of the season is when the injury train already started.
100%. That was right there. Ed Oliver. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ed Oliver blew the shit out of Logan Pauls. He blew up Lamar. And that's what I'm saying. Like, those loud losses are prime example of why we need him gone. Well, at first we didn't want him starting. Two, we just got to get him out of here. So that you got anything to say, Yuri?
Like I said, comp pick formula, Pro Bowl alternate, probably all pro vote somewhere out there. I'm sure the Giants they're licking their chops. Maybe this is what I'd say. I say get in a fake bidding war with the Giants and then at last second pull the rug and get the highest comp pick possible.
Enjoy the Meadowlands. Enjoy the Meadowlands.
So you're saying, like, what if we, pull? Oh shit! Never mind. We can't do that. What was the receiver that we accidentally was about to
Ryan
sign?
Grant.
Yeah, and then
Ryan Grant.
Yeah, it's John Harbaugh is the one who's choking and not closing the deals. He's second guessing. No, I don't want to pay too much for an edge rusher. So we'll pull it on him.
Right. Well, yeah.
Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving, G.
Next guy. This will be quick too. Thank you for the sack that you did. A couple sacks that you did against Joe Burrow for your time being in Baltimore.
I don't hold it against him. He had 2 serious injuries, and it just took away his explosiveness. And it is what it is. He shouldn't have been on the roster for the second half of the season. They probably should have kept Carl Lawson instead of him. A couple other guys. So he can also go enjoy the Meadowlands. Let's send them all to the Meadowlands and get all the comp picks and all the years that John Harbaugh has been forcing the Ravens to overpay for his guys. Let's now turn that into a positive by getting comp picks out of it and making him overpay for his guys and getting comp picks.
Yeah, all the positive around taking him went out the door when he tore his ACL in the combine, and just the athleticism kind of got sapped from him and really has never returned. And good luck on Seattle's practice squad or back at Michigan as a edge coach or something, or maybe a assistant. But
maybe he could be the Giants defensive coordinator in a couple of years.
Yeah, or the Giants Giants practice squad as well. I'm sure.
I think he might go to Detroit. So his boy Aiden Hutchinson might shoot some bell for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. Thank you for the Joe Burrow forced fumble sack. Yeah. Next, Dayton Wade. First note, last note.
Keep it moving.
All right.
Nope.
Oh, look at that.
There we go.
hey, I'm not gonna disrespect Dayton Wade like that. Never mind. I had a joke, but before after shots. But DeAndre Hopkins, 13. It'll be a 14 year if we do. If we do decide to keep him, he'll be 34, or I think he will be 34, depending on his actual birthday month. He might be. He probably be 34. 22. All right, so this is pretty funny to me. We haven't got to the other. I don't know. We talked about the other guy yet, but there's been times where we see 22 receptions and 330 yards. There's been times where a certain receiver that's actually I call him the gunner god of special teams has actually outsnapped him and Bateman, and that bothered the shit out of me. So I would.
And Tez.
I would. What's that?
And Tez too.
And Tez too, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like I said, there's a guy, that's loved in Baltimore that was out snapping DeAndre Hopkins and Bateman, and I just don't understand it. But I think in this system that's coming up, I think he would be valuable. But I feel like this is where you got to be able not to create log jams at receiver, and I think that I got to let that go too of the past time. Put it down. Sorry. No, put it down. Put it down. All right, my man. He was about to blow a whistle in the house.
Did you play with your pistols?
Yeah, huh? No. He had a whistle. He had Anyway, my mom, she used to be a part of the cheerleading back in high school, and she was like one of the drum majors. So she have a whistle or whatever.
Go back to Falele and then let him blow the whistle real quick.
Oh, That'd be crazy work right there. but my whole thing is not creating log jams for young receivers. So you got to make a decision. This is where EDC needs to make a decision, or and Jesse. Do we want to just have that one vet, or do we want to be like, all right, well, Bateman, and would you clarify Bateman and Flowers as vets already? Like, like they've been, they've experienced, the AFC Championship game. They experience, certain, just playoffs in general. They've experienced, down years, up years, obviously, critical moments, all that. So I feel like the veteran stage is already there. And then you don't want to create a logjam for like guys like Tez Walker, where they can't, like guys like Kim can't get on the field and get used productively other than special teams. But yeah, I would say I'll let DeAndre Hopkins go, and I'll let you guys go. My bad.
All right, so as far as receivers concerned, I think you need 4 legit guys. And I think with Tez Walker's season, Flowers' season, and Bateman's season, or Bateman's, 2024 season, you have 3. So you need 1 more. I would be fine with bringing back Hopkins. I will be fine with taking a receiver in the top 60 or 70 in the draft. And I'd also be fine with looking at other veterans. I'd be excited to trade for A.J. Brown, for example. The dead money, or the money that the team that trade for A.J. Brown's a little bit confusing, because they got void years on option bonuses, and we don't need to get into all that. But I did think Hopkins played well. I think that the 4th guy should be a contested catch kind of guy who can win the ball at the catch point, and I think Hopkins did a nice job of that. He did say he'd like to come back and he'd like to be used more. So if you can get him back for like $5 million again, because that's what he got last year, I'd be happy for it. If you also want to go get somebody in the draft that's relatively early, I'm good with that. And again, you want to get a guy like Brown, I'm good with that too, or even Mike Evans. But as far as bang for your buck, and considering you got a lot of needs that you want to fill in the draft in the early rounds, I'd be happy bringing back Hopkins for like $5 million to be the 4th wide receiver. But I do want to see Tez Walker featured next year for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you here on this one, Garnett. Like, I don't want to create a logjam of like D-Hop. Well, of course you have to play him to keep him happy. He's not going to sit on the sideline. I still think he has good play in him. I also want to say, like, how many times have we kept a vet receiver like this a year too long, and the year after it's kind of been like, oh, maybe we should have moved on. Like Nelson Aguilar, right? Like, we had him, the first year nice, and a couple nice plays here and there, and we kept
Good
the next
point.
year. I'm like, well, this kind of sucks. So I still think he's like a fine player. A lot of the catches he had early in the year, we were so excited to see him against the Browns, like the Browns deep ball. We're like, oh man, D-Hop and can make an impact here. And I still think he's a viable red zone threat and a sideline and back shoulder type guy. But I kind of feel what Garnett is saying, and like Bateman's probably the vet at this point. Like, he's on year 6 or year 7, and we can. I'd like to spend it's kind of a position where I kind of, if we're gonna do something at it, I kind of want a big guy. Like, I want a bigger fish that's a little bit younger if we're gonna spend money at it. So
who's up next, G?
Okay, all right. So I guess that's two boots and a key.
Yeah, I'm a keep.
All right. Next up is Drama Jones, as I call him. Obviously goes back to the weird, dumb timeline of, we shouldn't have traded one guy, then we ended up needing the guy back. So we ended up trading for that guy to get this guy. But he had 18 solo tackles, 7 sacks. I'm pretty sure, I think 3 of them came from Tennessee, and the other 4 came from us. 29
all the way around.
Okay, 4 from them, 3 from us. I know, because they had the escalators, right, or bonuses attached to them or something like that.
Yeah, but they had to make the playoffs too. They had to make the playoffs, and he had to get 2 sacks to get a 4th-round pick instead of a 5th-round pick. Anyway, we don't need to get bogged down in that little.
Shout out to Tyler Lue. All right, so but yeah, man. Just be quick. I'll keep Draymond. I would keep Draymond Jones, but the clause would be this better not be a Kyle Van Noy situation. Oh my God, man. I love EDC to death, but man, like if he don't break some of his molds, like even Yuri, you remember how you used to make fun of me that you're like, hey, all EDC has to do is just be aggressive, and you're like, dude, you've been saying that for like 4 years in a row now.
Yeah. Everyone's like, EDC, please address the guards. I'm like, guys, we've been saying this for 5 years. I don't know if you ever get that.
It's always the same thing. It's always the same thing. That's what happens when you pay a linebacker and running back. You just keep placing the same positions every year.
But here's the thing, though. He has opportunities. I'm not trying to get off. It's still on topic. But my issue is like we'll sign Drama Jones, as I call him, literally to a nice contract, like a Kyle Van Noy deal. And he's younger. Obviously, he's younger than Kyle. But the thing is, that will be the move, and then we'll just go get another, rotational guy, and we'll hoping that we'll hit the draft. And I think, like, in this Super Bowl window that we're in, you got to go get the guy, and then you can get a guy like him along with it. So, obviously, I want to keep him, but this can't be like, okay, this is the keep that's going to, solidify the edge room, and then we're just going to,
No, I agree with that.
Budget the room. As I say.
No, I'm the same way. I think the edge room, I view it the same way as receiver. You need 4 guys. Unless you're going to have an apex alpha stud, a Parsons or a Garrett or one of those other guys, you need 4. And I'm okay with going with a deeper rotation. So long story short, I'm definitely in favor of bringing back Draymond. I like the fact that he can kick inside on pass downs and play a little 3-tech or 4-eye or whatever, and get up to the passer that way. And you can get another one of your edge rushers onto the field. So I'd be okay with, like, you bring back Draymond, you have Mike Green, you have Tavius. Tavius, I think, is overrated in most of the Ravens sphere because of the John Harbaugh, Ryan Mink hype machine, because he tries hard. He just doesn't quite have the top-end athleticism. So I think he should be outside linebacker 4. And I think Mike Green could be outside linebacker 2 or 3, and Draymond could be 1A or 1B or 1. But I think you either need to go out and get a guy, or that, to me, if you're going to go out and sign a guy, I like Jalen Phillips a lot. But I'd also be okay with drafting a guy like Keldrick Falk at number 14, who's going to be a really solid run setter, edge setter from day one, and has the ability to develop into a high-end apex pass rusher. So I don't know if you caught that, Yuri, but I was saying you got to get 4, and I'm definitely want to bring back Draymond. I pay him like between 12 and 14 million a year on like a 3-year deal, but he shouldn't be your only level 1 outside backer. Either go sign a Jalen Phillips or draft a Keldrick Falk at 14.
And before a year ago, I want to say this real quick. Like, if you're gonna do the B to B plus room, you better have 4 B pluses. Like when we had Clowney, Van Noy, Owe, and then you can put Tavius was coming up in that. Wasn't Tavius? It was Tavius, right?
Yeah, Tavius.
Yeah, so you can do that. Fine with that, but you can't do what we did this year, where you're only start active roster wise is having 3 fucking edge rushes. I just sorry
no
for
doubt.
personal. Yeah, that really
no doubt.
It bothered me. I did never get it. I never understood it. Like, what's the point of? Hopefully Jesse Minter doesn't do this or whatever. But what's the point of keeping Malik Ham and Rucker and all these guys on a roster, on a practice squad, and not even try to elevate them not once?
Like, if Jesse Minter elevates 6 special teams only guys to the active roster every week, we're going to get his ass fired too, guaranteed. He's not going to do that.
Yeah, I'd say I'm kind of in the same boat with you guys. Like, I don't want to keep him and this be the move. It's like, oh, we're keeping Draymond Jones and we're going to the draft. I if they're gonna keep him, I would say probably less than maybe around 8 million a year or less. Like, that's kind of where the number I have in my head that makes sense. And he has a nice skill set, but this draft is full of guys with that kind of skill set that can line up as a 4-eye on the edge and like slide up inside, and then as well as line out on the lining up as a 7-tech. Like, this draft has a ton of dudes like that. So I'm not hard pressed to keep him if he wants to, more money elsewhere. He had a nice little, couple of weeks where he certainly plays like a Raven, and I'd like to keep him. But I'm also financially wise. If they're like, hey, like, we're not going to pay you $11 or $12 million a year to keep you up, like, okay, I understand. So I guess if I had to make a final decision on him, I'd say keep. But I think there's a big caveat to it.
Yuri, real quick, give us a little nugget. Somebody you saw at the Senior Bowl, or somebody that you'd like to add to the edge room that maybe you can draft on day 2, but that can develop into an eight type of apex type of pass rusher.
Garnett?
Oh, I'll wait for you. I thought did he ask you or me?
I said Yuri.
Yeah.
Yuri, give us a nugget.
Hawaiian energy at the Senior Bowl.
Give us a nugget.
Zion Young. That would be
all right.
The answer for me was he was out there, and I just remember asking him. He's like, I'm like, why do you crave violence so much? Why do you love it? And he's just like, I just want to go out there and be a fucking bully. And I said, all right, I'll see you on draft night.
Is he the same dude? Like, I just can't explain it. Like, it's sort of like I feel like a gun is going off or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, Black Air Force energy. I love it. All right. Well, yeah, next guy. Let's see who was next on the list. Okay, here we go, fellas. Yuri, I'll let you.
No. I think he cost the Ravens 3 touchdowns in 3 probably the most pivotal weeks of the season, which was the divisional opponents. The Bengals and dropped interception. The Bengals one where he got blocked straight into Lamar, and Lamar's throwing motion got cut in half because of it. And then the Steelers game where just finish the catch, and you don't need to hold it out like a loaf of bread. And I just thought, like, I don't care about the
object on that one, but I'll let you go. I object.
Just tuck it away. So, anyways, I know. Hey, sure. I know you like him, Garnett. We're about to disagree on here. I go to Kansas City, sell him the lemon. I don't think he's. Surely year 6 it'll be different. Him not even eclipsing 500 yards. He can't take Mark Andrews' train. Like, we sit here and say Mark Andrews stinks, yet likely can't outproduce him in any fashion or get open more or anything. I don't think he's good as everyone says. I think he's a nice flanker tight end, and you can find them every draft. Every freaking draft. I can point out 5 guys to you right now that has his skill set that'll probably put up similar production, and guess what? You'll find him on day 3.
All right. This is where you think we're going to disagree, but we're not really all the way. I just think, like, he's going to be a baller. Where if he goes to Kansas City, he's going to ball the fuck out. Like, especially if the Kelsey stuff is leaning towards where I thought it would go. But like, I feel like if he goes to Rice, it'd be good. But in Baltimore, I think it would be cool. But we just don't know what we have an idea of the direction. But like I said, bringing back Mark was like the worst. I feel like obviously it was the worst thing. So it really, I would have been cool with Kolar and then likely, but obviously we're never going to see that. So yeah, just for sake, I will let him go for the best for him. Like I'll keep Kolar because obviously you can find either one of those tight ends in this draft, but
yeah, I
feel more comfortable. Not being redundant, and I know I'm not saying he's going to get better as a blocker. I think likely he ain't going to be the best blocker, but he'll get better. But I feel more comfortable with having a Kolar guy, and then hopefully, crossing our fingers, finding another likely. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
So I think Yuri makes a good argument. I do think there's some value as far as likely being able to. He has that connection with Lamar when the play breaks down. He does make some plays in that situation. He had that maybe the play of the year in 24 against Cincy when Lamar had that stiff arm and hit him in the back of the end zone. He made that big fourth down grab in the season finale. But, this Andrews contract just, puts everything out of whack. And the only way I'd bring Likely back is on like a prove it type of deal, and not like a 1 year, 1 million type of deal, but like a 1 year, 6 million type of deal. Where Likely he's just trying to boost his market value for the next year to go with that multi-year contract. Other than that, you can't pay multiple tight ends big money. It's going to mess up the rest of your roster.
Right.
All right, who you got next, G?
Oh, my bad. Pause it, fellas. My bad.
What's up, handsome?
All right, we're good, fellas. My bad, Gary.
No, it's all good.
Who's the?
Did he ask me
Up
another
next.
question? Sorry, I was kind of lost.
Nah, go next.
Okay, next. My bad.
Yeah.
You're good.
All right, let's see what is after him. I'm curious because I don't even know the order at this point. Special teams legend, Jake Hummel.
No.
8 tackles, probably on special teams, and then obviously the it's not on there, but the block punt, and that's it.
Yeah, if they want to bring him back for special teams, I'm fine. If they want to just, get fresh blood and get rid of all the Harbaugh's guys, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah,
Nothing
for
more
me,
than vet men.
Go ahead. I feel like here's the thing. I feel like I want him. No disrespect, I want him to go to New York, have a successful special teams. Follow what's the guy that with busting with the boys linebacker? You know what I'm talking about too, right?
Yeah.
Will Compton. I want him to have
that one.
go the Will Compton route, have the most successful special team career of your life, buddy. Ball out, but not in Baltimore. Right? Just be one of the boys, man. It's that simple. I feel like hopefully we lean towards having more outside linebackers, more than inside linebackers to fill in special team roles. So now we have an actual, rotation just in case people get hurt, if that makes sense. Now we don't have to go to the street.
For sure.
Outside linebackers. Next is all-pro punter, Jordan Stout. Had a successful all-pro year, as I mentioned. The longest punt he had was 74 yards. Net average was over 50. Had 53 punts this year. Into 20-24 times. Hey man, this is somewhat of a weird thing for me because 1 out of the 4 years was an all-pro year, but the other 3 we were ready to move on. So I don't know how I should feel about this.
I'd give him like $3 million for 3 years, which is probably like top 5 of punters, but not top dollar, top market setting. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to punt, so I don't want to pay a punter. I'd rather, it's a position that is going out of style because so many teams go for it on fourth down now. So, I think he's worth if there was a franchise tag for punters, I'd give him the franchise tag, the average of the top 5, but I wouldn't set the market for him.
Yeah, I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent about it. I mean, he did have a great year that was really out of nowhere. Like, I did not expect him to go out there and do as well as he did as a punter. But it just depends on how much you're willing to. I mean, I'd go up to $4 million a year, maybe $5 million. I don't know what the average. I don't know what the average punter makes, and I know that spending money on a punter is not a good idea. But I'd say no. Whatever. You can find them in the draft. Find them fucking free agency sitting on the street. Sign Pat McAfee. I don't care.
All right. Yeah, I'm. Just with that, I was reasonable. I'll keep them, but it got to be reasonable. Here's the thing. We keep them. We don't have to worry about a dumb punter being drafted somewhere where he shouldn't be drafted. If that makes sense. I don't know.
I think we're all on the same page. For the right price, we'll keep him, but we're
Right.
not going to break the bank for him.
Speaking of that, Joe Noteboom. Stat wise, this is from PFF. If anybody's wondering what these grades, a reason why he doesn't have a rank because the fact that I guess he didn't do enough to be
Enough
ranked.
snaps.
Yeah, enough stats. So overall, it was a 54, 34, which it was very shown. It was really shown that he deserves his 34 in the pass blocking. And then run game is 68, which is pretty good. So, well, okay, decent. I would say pretty good. Well, okay, decent. But I would say, let him keep on being a journeyman. I would let him walk. I mean, there's not much to really say about it.
Well, they activated Carson Vincent over Noteboom for pretty much the second half of the year.
Right.
And Carson Vincent looked pretty good, and I think he's a swing tackle of the future. And maybe if they're lucky and Ledford develops him, he's going to take over for Ronnie. So I wouldn't keep Joe Noteboom. I think Vincent's the way to go for sure.
Yeah, but I just say let Carson Vincent step up and draft another tackle on day 3. I not much interest in keeping him.
All right. I think that was nice and smooth. Don't have to spend much time. First note, last note on Noteboom. Keaton Mitchell. I mean, obviously, already talked about it a little bit when it comes to his contract. I think we all can say that his form was. I wouldn't say he wasn't at 100% just yet, but I think that like the confidence in his knee and everything is there. I didn't really see the super top end speed as once he was had. I would not have. Anyway, I'm tongue tied. I'm tired. But anyway,
yeah. We've been on the stream for 2.5 hours already.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, please. Yeah, but hopefully he'll get his speed back full 100%. But I'm definitely a key. One thing that I would like to see him work on tremendously is his not just work on pass pro, but just catching out the backfield.
Yes.
Obviously, we all think about that one interception. I'm not the type of guy. I like to look at a body of work instead of just looking at a moment to just say, "Oh man, that one moment I'm going to."
He dropped wheel route too.
Yeah,
he had the interception, and he dropped that wheel route. What was that? I think that was week 18 or 17, something like.
Yeah, it was straight. One of them went straight for an interception. So, yeah, man. So that's my whole thing on it. Obviously, it's an easy keep, and I don't want to steal the floor from you guys, but we're going around the table.
Go ahead, Yuri.
Yeah, I just say keep him.
All right.
Yeah, so I'd keep him for like $2 million, $2.5 million, but I'm not breaking the bank for RB2. I'm not breaking the bank for an RB1 if it's up to me. So I think he does have that electric speed, but low end contract for sure.
Right. All right. Next up, pass. I'm just no disrespect. But 12 tackles for Kyle Van Noy, 2 sacks, and then 1 interception.
2 fucking sacks.
2 sacks.
And they had the audacity to put him on the graphic of Myles Garrett at the beginning of the year and TJ Watt and say who's going to be the sack leader next year.
It was almost like I saw like they had one of the Wired things and like everybody was like, "Oh, you almost had that one, Kyle. That was like so close. You almost had a sack." And it was like the other teams' coaches were saying that. It's like everybody's rooting for him to get sacks. Like I don't care about this guy's sack record. He's a journeyman. He came here. He should have been playing on early downs, and Mike Green should have been playing on third down. But instead, they got mixed up in this legacy, the Kyle Van Noy legacy, whatever. I'm pretty much done with him. I think he's a hardball kind of guy, and he can go to New York or retire or go to the booth. I think they can do a lot better than what is he? 34 years old, almost 35 years old. Yeah. It's time to turn the page.
Right, man. Go ahead and kick it with Kay Adams or whatever. I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of these sports shows or whatever. Just podcast, content, create content. That's where I'm at. Yuri, you good?
Maybe hey, go back to the Chargers after they let Mac and Elway go, and you can have another great time with another Harbaugh. I don't know. Probably we'll see him on SportsCenter.
Or he can just join us on the Ravens way, right? I'm just playing.
Nah, he's not a winner on this episode on this channel.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. I'm just playing. And Pat Ricard, all right, man. The Ravens' beloved fullback. For me, just let him go to the Giants. I'll keep it simple. We talked crazy. We talked a good amount about with Charlie Kolar, and then how we want well, for me, I'll say how I want the TU3 to fill in that role. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication, and not taking the shirt that I got you when I went to the preseason game to the Carolina games about 4 or 5 years ago. You did take the shirt after you gave me the thumbs up and all that. Yeah, I'm holding this in. But yeah. Have a successful career with the Giants, buddy.
I'm not interested in keeping a 32-year-old fullback who missed half the season with an injury. I don't want a fullback on the roster, to be completely honest. If they do want a fullback, get somebody younger and healthier. There's only 8 teams in the league that use a fullback. There's plenty of guys that can fill that role. I did enjoy his play several years ago. He was a tone setter. He would hit, he was like the one guy on offense who would set the tone and talk a little smack. And he had a couple little, what was that, the Devontae Leach play where they just run that quick out and hit him and he can gain 6 yards and pancake and truck somebody. But his time is gone as far as I'm concerned. I know some people want to keep him around to keep the DNA of the Ravens, the previous Ravens regime around. I don't want that DNA anymore. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, I think it was a good run. He really does a lot for our protection unit, and I would certainly look to either keep Kolar or add another guy that almost functions as another guy we can use from a tight end standpoint to be able to be competent in a pass blocking role. So, like you said, go to the best of luck in the Giants. But I don't think letting him walk out the door, like the Ravens EPA was significantly different with him on the field versus off the field, and that's not something you can ignore. So they do need protection as a unit to be better. Henry obviously is getting taken off the field on third down. Ali showed some strides in protection. Justice Hill was injured, so maybe he can step in back to being that pass pro running back that Justice Hill is developed into. But I'm not saying goodbye and saying good riddance. I'm saying goodbye, and hey, we're gonna need to be better as a unit. So
fuck it, I'll say a good riddance, pal.
Yeah, I want to get back to the way they were playing the first 3 quarters against Buffalo, and he didn't play that game. Honestly, and when Lamar got hurt, that changed everything. But
anyway. Sorry, this is not it. This is just delete that slide. That was supposed to be Taven Bryan, but I know we're gonna say no to him.
Yeah, get out of here, Taven Bryan.
Yeah, and this guy right here, the Gunner God. This is Log Jam Part 2. Bye. Go to the Giants. No, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but Tom Wallace, 5 year. A lot of people remember him for the St. Louis Rams. It's crazy. LA Rams, the overtime punt return, and then whatever other sporadic touchdown plays he has in his back pocket that he pulls out. But yeah, cool feel good story, But it's time to actually get good receivers in the room. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll always remember that punt return. I had season tickets for 17 years, I think. And when my kids were little, I sold my PSLs because they got into the game and they wanted to start watching the games. So that's what I did. I'd rather watch it with them than go down there. But the only game I ever took them to was that Rams game in the rain. We're wearing ponchos. We had good seats in the lower bowl. That was on our sideline. It's a hell of a play, and I always remember him for that. But they could definitely do better. He's 26. He's on the downside of his career, and they can get more explosive there. So let's hope John Harbaugh overpays for all of these locker room guys, and we got a whole bushel full of comp picks for all these guys.
I wish him the best of luck. in his future endeavors. And thank you for taking Tez Walker's snaps for 16 and 17 games. It was such a thrill to watch you run routes and try and get open.
Such a thrill for him to rob Bateman and Hopkins, and just watch him run, block, and yay. All right, so this is where it gets a little spicy. Tyler Huntley, for the 2 games. This. If you're a Ravens fan, I feel like this is where it should make you happy and also piss the fuck off inside. This backup quarterback, Pro Bowl backup quarterback, literally did his job. We chose, Cooper Rush over him, which is still head scratching, mind boggling to this day. This guy balled out for 2 games straight. Favorite game was probably the Chicago Bears, where we beat them down, and he did his job. He didn't, he played, conservative, but he was very efficient with, while being conservative. So I say keep, but you're at the point where put like this. I'd rather keep him and then see what happens from there. I'm comfortable. I just keep him. I don't know what else.
Two best wins of the season: Bears and Packers, and he was a quarterback for both of them.
Exactly.
I'm firmly in the keep camp. Obviously, I don't want to overpay, but you're losing some of Lamar's boys. T. Martin left. They replaced him with Israel. I forget his last name at the moment, but Wolfork, and they're probably losing. Likely, they're losing some of Lamar's guys. So keep Huntley, give him a 2-3 year deal in the $3 million range, and I'm more than happy. I think for all the talk about intangibles and all this other stuff, he's the kind of intangible that I want to keep. So that's where I am with him.
Yeah, I'd say keep him. I mean, he stepped in those 2 games and played well. I don't know how there's the you know what I mean, Cooper Rush. Why I can't believe that people try to gaslight us into thinking the backup quarterback was a good idea. It was very fucking obvious Lamar was propping up half the team, and any substantial any quarterback that's not going to come in and be able to move in any capacity was going to be a drop off. But somehow paying $6 million a year for a backup quarterback was a smart move and was going to elevate our floor with a bad guard play. And it's just whatever. I think we should keep Huntley. I think, hey, Vetman, play with Lamar for the rest of your life in Baltimore and call it a day.
Easy money. Never again, fans, stop watching and actually look what's actually happening. Because that's what happened with Cooper Rush. I mean, people saw
exactly what happened. Everyone's like, he stepped in with CeeDee Lamb and fucking all their players they got over there, and their front 5 that can block
running quick game.
No,
they were running quick game, man. It's a whole different ball game. I agree. I'm all about Huntley.
Yeah.
I think even if they change the offense, which I do expect.
Best for last, right?
Wait. Okay, we go back. Wait. Go ahead, finish up, boss.
No, I want to keep Huntley. I think he's an important piece of. He's like I said, he's part of the DNA that I do want to keep.
Right. And then last but not least, Leonard. So obviously, you can say he had the down, or just in general, the whole line, just the whole offense had the down year, or whatever. He PFF grade, overall grade was 80. I know his. Our brother Ken, our older brother Ken was like, well, it's screwed because, percentage wise, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But pass block grade was a 63, 22nd out of 40 centers when it comes to that grade. And then also when it comes to run block, he was at 83.7, which is pretty good. And I can't see the 4th out of 40 centers.
Go over here, scroll it down. Go on the right side and scroll it down.
Oh, yeah.
You still can't see it.
No, it's like my wife says, it's too big. Hold on. There we go. There it is.
Did you hear what Vrabel said, by the way?
Which one?
The one where he was like, I'll I'll cut off half. Six is enough for her.
Smart man. Smart man. Oh man, but yeah, I think like I said, we was talking about Corey. Like I said, Corey Bullock and him are funny. No pun intended. Is linked to the hip. You know what I mean? So how I feel about it, yeah. Like I said, I love Linderbaum, but it is what it. You know, I understand that the salary cap is the most critical part about this, because if it's going to be $305 million, something dollars, I mean, it's not going to hurt to pay him 18 or 19, whatever. But now if you're asking for something like beyond that, I think that's where, it becomes a problem. You just got, hey, bro, you was my favorite player. It's crazy. A center was my favorite player on the team. And then, you know what? It's probably going to be somebody else after we leave you. If you ask for, if that doesn't comply with you, the 19.5 might be the highest I'll go. I don't know. It'd just be wild. But yeah, man, I'm cool with it for that price to keep him. But if not, man, just Corey Bullock, I'm willing to roll the dice. Next person.
Go ahead, Yuri. Go ahead, Yuri.
Boss.
No, you go.
You want me to go?
I want you to go.
I know you got a lot of thoughts about him. If they're gonna run more zone concept offense, Linderbaum really hasn't been weaponized in the run game as a blocker as much as he really should have been even under Monken, who made strides as a screen game coordinator, and being able to successfully run a tunnel screen where Linderbaum is going out there to block in space. That really wasn't something he was been utilized as, and I do think there's a little bit of room for his return to value, so to say, if they were to pay him a big contract, is use him as a more of a weapon on the offense, just moving downfield and getting to the second level, and some of the pin and pull and some of the stretch concepts, backside stuff, all that kind of stuff. I there's a little bit of room to grow there, but I kind of am with Garnett. Like, hey, like $18 million a year, $19 million a year. The thing is, the reality is that he hits the open market, and he's absolutely, and I think his agent knows this, he's going to get $21 million a year. And I just think that the issue is I would pay him that if he was better at holding his pass pro and one-on-ones, but he's just something he's not been great at, and I think he's good at double combo blocks and being able to pass off, and he does all the right stuff. Besides, he just can't hold his own against certain skill sets.
Before Voss go, I want to say this. Like, my whole theory was, and I still believe it to this day, we put him with I'm gonna say the absolute worst, but we put him with the worst guard combos. And I mean, he still was, I guess you could say above average, I guess, by looking at it, if you want to say that. But I just want to see him with a better pairing when it comes to guards. So
yeah,
that's what has me more intrigued about keeping him. Because, like, listen to Jason Kelce talking about how he had played with, guys. I forgot. I know Jason Peters was playing tackle, but I forgot the guys. Brandon Brooks and whoever else were playing guard.
Landon Dickerson.
Yeah, and Dickerson, all those guys. Like, we're talking about, Dickerson is not like, these guys were like 6'5", 6'6", 330 guys that were playing with 6'2", 285 Jason Kelce. So I just want to see that, and we've seen him. We've seen him play with Kevin Zeitler, and
we've seen him play with Falele. Big old
John Simpson.
Yeah, John Simpson. Like, it's so like I said, we've seen him play with the worst guards. One with the most penalties, one, and then two guys that were. I came up with a new term today. Falele was BUI, blocking under the influence. When you like literally, he was a BUI guard, bro. Like, blocking under the influence. Like, he was, he was impaired. And so, like, for me, I just want to see him with better pieces around him. Because we've seen one good year with Zeitler, but we never seen like the full gamut. So I'm curious about that.
So
real quick, Voss, before you go, real quick. I just want
man,
to
you guys, nobody wants to
two
let me
things.
go.
I know you want to
No,
go.
we know what's about to happen.
I'm about to change your mind.
One, your center is always going to be your smallest player. That's just
Right.
how the nature of the position works.
Of course.
Fuck, I forgot the second.
Yeah,
Now, go ahead,
it's-
Voss.
that means
I had
it's
a
my
good
turn
point
to
for
go.
the second one. Go
All
ahead.
right. So to counter what G just said, if you're going to pay a guy top of the market money, he should be able to excel no matter who's around him, especially at a devalue position. There's no excuse for a guy, he's one of the best centers in the league or the highest paid center in the league, but he also needs help. And that also applies to linebacker and running back and all these kind of positions. I think that's a bullshit way to think about it. Secondly, he is, according to this graphic, the 22nd best pass blocking center in the league this year, his fourth year. That's not worth very much money to me. The top dollar I would go to is $12 million. Not only would I sacrifice his downfield blocking on run plays in exchange for more explosive pass plays, which you probably could get if you have a bigger center, but I think a lot of the short yardage and goal line issues are also attributable to having a smaller center. And the last point I'll make is you're going to pay the guy $20 million. You could hypothetically get a starting center like Cade Mays, who's a big guy, who went to Georgia and Tennessee, who's coming up off a couple good years in Carolina, and a Kevin Zeitler or Edwards, I think, is a guy out of Buffalo, for the same money. You get 2 for 1. Ozzie Newsome used to say, if you're small and you're slow, that's on you as a GM. So I just want to get bigger there. I'm not excited about re-signing him. I'm definitely not excited about re-signing him for a big money contract. I think that money will be better utilized elsewhere. The Ravens have been getting punked in the trenches pretty much for the entire Lamar era. And I think a part of that is not having a bully at center. They had Ryan Jensen. He was a bully at center. They had Matt Burke, who was a technician but also a bully. At one point they had, what's his name, Jason Brown, who was a big center. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that you put Jason Brown in there, not Jason Brown, Cody Bullock in there and bring in a stud right guard or even a above average right guard. You save money, you're bigger, you're stronger, you're better on the O-line, and you still have money to put into the pass rush. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
So just to to rebuttal you a little bit, because it wouldn't be us if we didn't do this. Would you say the effect of not having Joe Thuney next to Creed Humphrey didn't show any regression in that offensive line?
Honestly, I didn't study KC closely, but I think as far as last I saw, Creed Humphrey was graded right up by the top, pass blocking and run blocking. And that's what you want. If you're going to pay a cornerstone contract, you want that guy to be able to dominate autonomously. I don't want to hear Roquan needs a better weak side linebacker so he can play better. And now you got, another $15K or $15 million put in a linebacker when I don't think you spent any money on a linebacker, and now you got 2 expensive linebackers. To me, that's just I think that's I take that same concept. You want a guy that's going to be able to do it on his own. If he's worth a cornerstone contract, he's got to be able to do it on his own. He shouldn't need help from anybody. That should be on him, especially at a devalued position. So I'm not banging the table. I can bang the table. If the Ravens re-sign Linderbaum, I probably won't like it. If they re-sign Linderbaum, but still find a way to be aggressive in free agency, and that's a topic I think we should wrap on here. How aggressive should they be this offseason? I'll be okay with it. But if they're going to sign Linderbaum and then say, we don't have money to sign an outside backer or a receiver because we got all this money in Linderbaum, to me, that's a detriment to the team.
Hey, I'm right there with you, man. For the most part, like I said, I said at 19.5. If the cap is 305, like how it's projected, I'm willing to pay I just don't want to. If Corey Bullard is going to be the guy, cool. But I just want to make sure we have a center that can actually snap the ball. I think a lot of us forget those times where the inerrant snaps of,
Well, they're going to be under center more, right? They're going to be under center a lot more. They're not going to have as much shotgun next year.
We will see. We will see.
I would just rather take that $20 million and put it towards Jalen Phillips or put it towards one of the guards and also, Awuzie, and you get two for one that are more impactful positions and less replaceable. So anyway, let's wrap on this now that we're coming up on 2 hours, not including the 50 minutes we took trying to figure out how to load the slides. And now that we're on we're coming up on 3 hours here. How aggressive should the Ravens be this offseason? Let's go to you first, G.
So actually, there was a scenario where I was like listening just around the league, and I'm trying to get back into that. Just hearing just what the feel for a lot of these players are coming up on contracts. One of the interest points that really caught my eye is actually leads to the Ravens being aggressive. If actually seeing if old buddy from the Jacksonville Jaguars, Walker, what's his first name? I can't think of his name.
Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker. If he's available, I wonder if the Ravens are willing to make a offer. Just how I feel for us being at 14.
You think Jax wants to get rid of him, though? I feel like Jacksonville wants to keep him because he started coming on second half.
So he had to come out second half, but he had a down year. I know some of them goes to injuries or whatever, but I don't think they're fully super invested as you think in them. I don't from what it feels like, but I think him coming here would be awesome. Like I think I don't think he's never played with other than being in Georgia, him playing with a Travis Jones would be insane. Like if you really think about it, like having that type of surrounding of those type of players in the interior would do wonders for him. And now for me, I know it's a pipe dream in a weird way, but I don't see, like, for us being at 14, I don't see us trading up. It's just not in our DNA. Have we ever traded up? Ever?
For Lamar?
We've never, but after we traded down twice. Yeah. And the same thing with Flacco. After we traded down twice, we did trade up for Haloti Ngata, 1 pick, and it only cost us a 6-rounder because Cleveland's stupid. Other than that, we traded a future pick. Or no, that was before. But the 1 year we did get Jamal Lewis at 5 and Travis Taylor at 10, but that's because we traded out of the first year before. We're like the only team that's never traded away a first-round pick. One of the only teams ever.
Which goes to my point. If we're not willing to do that, and I just don't see us being at 14 is really tricky. Like a lot of people think, Kyle Hamilton, since we got him at 14, is going to happen again. Like, dude, we got fucking lucky. So for me, when it comes to Bain, Mizador, and just a couple of these guys are edge rushers, I just don't. Those are, I think, transcendent type of guys. But when it gets to 14, you're just at the mercy of the board. So for me, would you think giving up a second round for Trayvon Walker and a couple whatever else, would that be reasonable?
Reasonable for me. I don't know if Jacksonville thinks it's reasonable, but I would do that in a heartbeat.
That would be my pipe dream when it comes to. I just want to feel like us being aggressive somewhere has to happen. I just don't know where. And free agency wise, everything is old. Like when it comes to guards, even the edge rushers, everything.
It's a weak year. Yeah. It's a terrible year in free agency. This is like one of the weakest free agents crops I've ever seen because the cap keeps going up, and that gives teams more money to keep their homegrown guys, and there's just not that many homegrown guys coming up. I don't even think there's going to be that many cap casualties this year because the cap, it went up by I think like 6 or 7 million more than they thought it was, and it's the cap has gone up 100 million I think in like 4 or 5 years. Right. So it's exploding. But anyway, Yuri or G, if you had any more thoughts on overall aggressiveness, and then we'll go to Yuri and I'll get my 2 cents.
Just somewhere either free agency wise. That's why I say I'm not going to do any mock drafts until I understand what this free agency market is going to look like, and then that'll give me a strong idea of what possibly could happen. it's just so hard, man. Like I just need us to be aggressive. So I know you're like, you keep on saying that, but I need us to be aggressive in some aspect and not just try to be at the mercy of a board. Like that's my whole thing. Like if there's going to be a big, like the Micah Parsons, when that became you go get Micah. I know, well, draft capital and all that. Like screw that. Like Michael Parsons is going to cover you for the next 3.5 years with draft capital. Like you think that the Rams and whoever, Eagles or whoever, I'm not saying Eagles, but like you think the Rams are like regretting doing what they did? You think the Falcons regret trading off for Julio? Like no, they got to the Super Bowl eventually. Like I don't know, it's just stuff like that just pisses me off. Where you cannot think of the Ravens as the Browns on. Well, if we do that, we're going to be looking like the worst team. No, we have a strong foundation. We can do it. We have a good core of front office that I believe in. That's not going to allow us to fall to the damn bottom. I don't know. It's just
well said. Well said. Yuri, where are you at on an aggressive level? From 1 to 10, how aggressive do you think the Ravens should be this offseason? From 1 to 10, how aggressive should they be this offseason?
Sorry, Garnett, could you what did he say? I'm like burning out right now. I have not had anything.
I think Yuri ate an edible while you got up to the bathroom real quick.
How aggressive do you think the Ravens should be this offseason?
I mean this. It really depends on what they believe and the players that they currently have. Like if Roquan Smith is going to return back to being a good player, and if Marlon Humphrey is going to return back to being a good player, or he's going to take a pay cut. Like they got a lot of guys that if they aren't good players anymore, the roster is kind of like, I don't know, it's B-ish level. So I think they need a big talent infusion, and I think they should be really aggressive. Just in terms of, hey, maybe not being all in and throwing all your picks at Max Crosby and signing a whole bunch. Just, hey, like we need talent. We really do need talent. We need athletes, and we need players that are going to be productive on rookie contracts. Because we got guys phasing out that are older, and we need players that are going to come in now and contribute that are on free agency contracts. So I think aggressiveness is a good, nice blend, not too far one way, not too far the other, and not too far in the previous past where we've been letting guys go off the hook because we don't pay the extra $3 million a year.
I think you guys both make really good points. To Yuri, I'm against trading picks, especially multiple picks for a high-paid player. If you can get a player on a reasonable contract for a pick, I'm down with that. But if the choice is trade 2 picks and then take on Max Crosby's contract versus not trading any picks and paying Jalen Phillips, I'd rather pay Jalen Phillips and keep your picks. And then you have the best of both worlds where you are infusing talent, a high-end talent, but also you have your long-term stability by keeping your picks and guys you're going to have under contract for 4 years. To Garnett's point, I think the Rams – is a prime example of what can be done with a high-end coaching staff. And let's be honest, I don't think the Ravens had a high-end coaching staff for most of the last 13 years. They've had a few years here where they had Kubiak and they had McDonald and Monken was really good. But overall, they haven't had a coaching staff that could elevate the bottom. They're more maybe they could elevate, but they just haven't been an awesome coaching staff. But look at the Rams, right? They essentially have gone all in twice now. They went all in paying Jared Goff and Todd Gurley, perhaps 2 of the worst contracts in NFL history. They made the Super Bowl. They retooled it, made the Super Bowl again, and won the Super Bowl. Then they scrapped it. They had to go into rebuilding mode, and what did they have? 1 down here, and now they had the 1 seed and made the conference championship game. To me, it's and what encourages me is hearing the Ravens press conference after they fired Harbaugh, where you heard DeCosta talking about big ticket shopping, and you heard Bisciotti say if they cannot get an extension with Lamar, they're going to push his money into void years. Well, how about this? Let's get the extension with Lamar and then still use void years to build up the roster with outside free agents while still keeping your draft picks. The more talent you have, the better off you are. The last time the Ravens won the Super Bowl, they picked Jimmy Smith in the first round cornerback. I think he was like 16 or 18. He didn't even start. When's the last time we had that kind of talent level where the first round pick didn't even start? You know, that's what I'd like to see. And as far as being aggressive, I want to be very aggressive, but not by trading picks, by using void years. So that to me, I think the window is now. The next 2, 3, 4 years, if they get the extension done with Lamar, is the time to do it. And if they have to have a teardown year like they had in 2002, I'm more than happy with it, and I think it will be in the team's best interest. So let's chase Super Bowls. It was so refreshing to hear Bisciotti at the State of the Ravens press conference talk about we want to win championships, because for 13 years Harbaugh wouldn't even say Super Bowl or say championship because he didn't want that expectation, because he wanted to be known for winning in the regular season. But I think we're now in a good place again with Jesse Minter, a great coaching staff, a good roster that can become a top 5 roster again with some free agent and savvy draft picks. And I'm excited. And great to be back in the saddle with you two both. It's been a while since we did this. I think we're going to do it again. I want to pick Yuri's brain about prospects because I know he's on that. I love you guys both. Go Ravens.
Go Ravens. Oh, I didn't say that in a minute. Go Ravens. Oh, man. Hey, one good thing. We can just one guy that brought me happiness just seeing on the radio roll is MP Juice Man, a.k.a. Marcus Peters.
Hell yeah.
We need some type of juice back on this team, man. We're lacking that big time. Something.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need some edge, some edge guys that just don't care. They don't care about their personal appearance, their public image. They just want to play football. That's what we need.
I want to make one point. I know we're running along, and that was kind of my soliloquy, but I heard one of the podcasts I listened to. I don't remember which one it was, and they were saying the Patriots play like assholes, and the Titans played like assholes, and that's Vrabel's kind of calling card. And the old Ravens used to play like assholes, and that's what Harbaugh took away from us. And all this talk about he instituted the culture used to rub me the wrong way so much because they didn't play like that. But honestly, playing like a-holes wins in the playoffs. Let's be real.
Anybody, I don't know if it was named the linebacker Ellis for the Patriots. The funniest shit I ever seen. I'm not going to say it. I'm not trying to get us the views or whatever. But Ellis, I don't know if y'all saw it. It was live on Monday. It was the Monday night game. And he was like, somebody was talking shit to him. And he was like, 17-0. Fuck Ninja. I don't know if you remember that. It was like out loud on TV. Like clear as day, asshole, Black Air Force energy all day. Like that's the type of energy I want back on the Ravens. I remember when Anquan Boldin was like, we were up 48-0 against the Raiders or whatever. And he points at the scoreboard like, you see that? You know what I mean? We need that back.
The Baltimore Bullies. That should be the credo of the Jesse Minter era. I hope so. Yes, Baltimore Bullies is what I want and what we need to win another Super Bowl.
Facts.
Yeah.
All right, Yuri, get us out of
final
here.
Thoughts?
I just gave like 8 final thoughts in a row, so you guys are up.
Yeah, hey, just bring back the bully mentality, man. Make bullies again.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I appreciate you guys sticking around. I think that's our longest pod ever.
Definitely.
Certainly from including the time that it took us an hour to figure out how to put a slideshow and bake it into the StreamYard. But yeah,
we had a Harbaugh moment.
I know we did. We thought we were still in the game, but the game passed us by.
Hey, but we finished strong, though. That's the anti-Harbaugh. We finished strong.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys for sticking around, joining us. I know Engraven is there in the comments, and I appreciate you joining on in. As always, Garnett and Voss, thank you for joining, and we will see you guys next time.